Don't own so much clutter that you will be relieved to see your house catch fire. Whether we and our politicians know it or not, nature is party to all our deals and decisions, and she has more votes, a longer memory, and a sterner sense of justice than we do. Do unto those downstream as you would have those upstream do unto you. Rats and roaches live by competition under the laws of supply and demand. It is the privilege of human beings to live under the laws of justice and mercy. You can best serve civilization by being against what usually passes for it. It may be that when we no longer know which way to go that we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. Nobody can discover the world for somebody else. Only when we discover it for ourselves does it become common ground and a common bond, and we cease to be alone. A corporation, essentially, is a pile of money to which a number of persons have sold their moral allegiance. Love is what carries you, for it is always there, even in the dark, or most in the dark, but shining out at times like gold stitches in a piece of embroidery. I don't believe that grief passes away. It has its time and place forever. More time is added to it. It becomes a story within a story. But grief and griever alike endure. There are no unsacred places. There are only sacred places and desecrated places. And we pray, not for new earth or heaven, but to be quiet in heart, and in eye clear. What we need is here. Let us have the candor to acknowledge that what we call the economy, or the free market, is less and less distinguishable from warfare. The cloud is free only to go with the wind. The rain is free only in falling. Better than any argument is to rise at dawn and pick dew-wet red berries in a cup. There comes a longing never to travel again except on foot. If you don't know where you're from, you'll have a hard time saying where you're going. When going back makes sense, you are going ahead. I have always loved a window, especially an open one. If you can read and have more imagination than a doorknob, what need do you have for a movie version of a novel? Young lovers see a vision of the world redeemed by love. That is the truest thing they ever see, for without it life is death. I could die in peace, I think, if the world was beautiful. To know it's being ruined is hard. Some nights in the midst of this loneliness I swung among the scattered stars at the end of the thin thread of faith alone. After a while, though the grief did not go away from us, it grew quiet. What had seemed a storm wailing through the entire darkness seemed to come in at last and lie down. It is easy for me to imagine that the next great division of the world will be between people who wish to live as creatures and people who wish to live as machines. The freedom of affluence opposes and contradicts the freedom of community life. People are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and are treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. If the devil doesn't exist, how do you explain that some people are a lot worse than they're smart enough to be? Perhaps all the good that ever has come here has come because people prayed it into the world. Some of the best things I have ever thought of I have thought of during bad sermons. Battle with unconditioned breath the unconditioned air. Shun electric wire. Communicate slowly. Live a three-dimensional life. Stay away from screens. What can't be helped must be endured. What could be more superstitious than the idea that money brings forth food? The promoters of the global economy see nothing odd or difficult about unlimited economic growth or unlimited consumption in a limited world. The shoddy work of despair, the pointless work of pride, equally betray creation. They are wastes of life. Again I resume the long lesson. How small a thing can be pleasing, how little in this hard world it takes to satisfy the mind and bring it to its rest. The mercy of the world is you don't know what's going to happen. The soil under the grass is dreaming of a young forest, and under the pavement the soil is dreaming of grass. He never complained. He seemed to have no instinct for the making much of oneself that complaining requires. A man with a machine and inadequate culture is a pestilence. Praise ignorance, for what man has not encountered he has not destroyed. You don't need to be told some things. You can sometimes tell more by a man's silence and the set of his head than by what he says. To love anything good, at any cost, is a bargain. It is impossible to prefigure the salvation of the world in the same language by which the world has been dismembered and defaced. If we do not live where we work, and when we work we are wasting our lives and our work too. We have neglected the truth that a good farmer is a craftsman of the highest order, a kind of artist. We've all got to go through enough to kill us. It was a country that he and his people had known how to use and abuse, but not how to preserve. This religion that scorned the beauty and goodness of this world was a puzzle to me.